Welcome back to day one of IEM Gyeonggi. I'm Achilles. Joining me back on the desk is Papa Smithy. We swapped him out for Freak. We'll be coming back in here for our first best of three of the day. It's our winners match, Samsung versus Immortals. Immortals just had a really strong showing, beating J-Team pre-30 minutes, pretty much just decimating their base around the 24-minute mark, and then it just slid out of control from there.
And it's a surprising result. Not that Immortals won, but so much the manner in the victory. They were so much more decisive and one-track minded than you could expect, given the fact that this roster just stayed in the last week. In the last 2 weeks, they only just firmed on it. And specifically Olay, I think, really on the board, especially the playmaking, the denial. Everyone was on the same page, which, given there were multiple languages on this roster, was not something we could take into consideration. But suddenly, they looked like the sort of team that could put Samsung, or at least the Samsung we saw in the first series of the day, to the sword for the kind of slow kind of gameplay they were trying to pull off in game one of the day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if Samsung, they're going to come into this one and perform in a similar fashion, then Immortals might very well just run over them. So going to be looking at them to innovate and clean up that early game performance, because Vegas Squadron pretty much had them until that, their late game shot calling just really wasn't up to snuff with the Korean squads. But Immortals looking pretty decisive throughout that entire game. They might be able to take this set, but at the same time, we do have to look forward to, very slightly to our losers match, where J-Team not looking pretty good at any point in that match, whereas Vegas Squadron having that really strong early game might be able to just stomp them out and work their way into the final match to see who they whether or not they can make the stadium, because they'll have to play against if they can beat J-Team, they'll have to play against the loser of this next best of three.
And that's the thing, is we've only had 2 best of ones on this 623 patch in this tournament, but there's so many questions already. How good is Immortals? Is it that they are super good and just completely decimated their opponents, or is it just that J-Team were coming in really underdone, underprepared? You look back at game one, suddenly it's Samsung from spring, where they would just kind of AFK the first 30 minutes, win late game team fights. It feels like League of Legends has got to the point where the Immortals we saw should beat the Samsung we saw, 9 out of 10 times, but because it's a single game, because it's so many outside variables, really hard to get on top of things. All I can say is that the Immortals playstyle is what was kind of demanded by the standard lane meta that started all the way back in 6.15, and they looked so much better than you could have imagined they would look given the circumstances.
Yep. But I mean, I'm still, one of the things I have to touch on is very surprised that Immortals were able to come back into that one with the losing bottom lane. I thought that with the Jhin, it'd be a little bit rough for them, but Cody-san actually playing really well on that Jhin and the curtain calls, the shots on point. But taking a look again, it's Samsung coming in onto the blue side this time. So I'm going to take a stab and say that they likely won the coin toss and elected to go on to blue for this first game, and then it will alternate, and then last game will be decided by the shortest game time.
Yeah, I think that's not so much importance, given that game 1 and game 2 they will alternate. It's more about, as you say, the rule we have here is that for the best of 1 stage it was a coin toss. For the best of 3 stage, the team side in game 3 is decided by the shortest game time and wins. If we do get to a game 3, that's important information. Although Samsung do have Stitch and Wraith at the stadium available to be used, they will predictably stick with their Worlds roster: Juve, Ambition, Crown, Ruler, and Core JJ.
Yeah, so nothing too shocking there as far as their rosters go. I don't think we've seen Stitch for quite some time. Core JJ, really the one that they were flipping in and out between himself and Wraith, but over on the red side, it's going to be Immortals coming in after that victory over J-Team, as you can see on your screen. Of course, Flame, Dardoch, Pobelter, Cody-san, and Olay. And that bottom lane already doing quite well together. Seems like they don't have too many problems as far as the synergy goes. And as a squad overall, we're doing a really good job. Flame, the TP flanks, excellent during that game.
And Flame, one thing that did happen the last 2 years, he was seen as a selfish player when he was really dominating on CJ Blaze. The word was the team was really revolving around his playstyle of getting those Flame Horizons. Of course, the man behind the now completely used everywhere expression of the Flame Horizon. But his teleport play in the last 2 years has really picked up. He has become more of a team player. He can actually play with limited resources, which is not the Flame of 2013, but now 2016 coming into 2017, still very relevant, especially in the last game we saw. And this is suddenly a super hype best of 3. Samsung, the team that came second at Worlds to this Immortals lineup that, sure, we've only seen one game of, but a very impressive debut with this roster against JT.
Okay, well, actually, it looks like it will be Immortals over onto the blue side with Samsung on the red. Just had our player intros backwards, so doesn't really change a whole lot here. But bans coming out. Going to be Victor taken away from Crown. Nothing too shocking there to get that out of his hands. Syndra, of course, going to be banned away. We'll see where Immortals want to go from here. Likely going to see the LeBlanc, but Zyra actually going to start things off. So getting rid of a big comfort one for poor JJ.
So the mid lane champion pool is super interesting. When on blue side in Series 1 and also through Worlds, Samsung had to ban things like Syndra on blue side. Ryze for a long time was banned by them on blue side. Last time out, it was Ivan, LeBlanc, Syndra on blue side, suggesting that Crown did not want to play either LeBlanc or the Syndra. So we have to talk about the mid lane champion pool. LeBlanc, Syndra, Ryze. They're seen as the god tier. Victor's right up there as well. With Victor banned on blue, you can see the mid lane bans will dominate this particular draft. Syndra, Ryze already banned on red side. Very interesting to see what sifts through. It won't be the LeBlanc. And that's 4 mid lane bans, so we're finally going to start to see the extended bench. Does this mean that Orianna rises in priority to a first pick? It's kind of hard to say. There's a lot of power left available. Lee Sin, for example, been perma-banned so far today, is available at first pick if Dardoch wants it.
And I'm sure he would love to get his hands on that one. I mean, as he claims in North America, best non-import Lee Sin, or cleanest, whichever term you want to use.
With all the
so
top
it
lane,
is something they could go for.
With all the top lane imports, the best NA top laner is going to be an interesting crown to give.
But for now, they're taking their time with this one, so Hermes trying to formulate what would be the best first pick. They could go for something,
The Lee Sin is the really
safe.
big dynamic pick that is left up here. You have to heavily expect it to be taken. Twitch is an interesting AD carry choice that's available as well. I mentioned that the Orianna was the highest tier mid laner available, has been a safe blind pick throughout the course of her history, but this will hand over the Lee Sin. And Samsung actually first picked Karma first time out, so a lot of power going over to Samsung and comfort as well.
Yeah, they're going to bring that in yet again for themselves, and then Lee Sin picked up by Ambition, so now Dardoch will have to see what he wants to run.
Predictably, it's going to be the Rek'Sai. Realistically, I played it in the previous game, actually looked good on it. It's the Initiator, Encourage the Colossus makes a lot of sense. So basically, the way this worked, the rock, paper, scissors worked here was that they are confident, I would imagine, with the Rek'Sai, unless they have something crazy against Lee Sin matchup, and they've actually thought, okay, what is left in the meta to pick against the Orianna blind pick? That may be the big question that's answered. Somehow I don't think we're going to see a Rammus rolling in.
That would be a little exciting, though, if we did see that. I mean, the Rengar is something we've seen a couple of times from Dardoch in the past. You can always see that one come out, but now flashing the Ivern. But it's going to be the Rek'Sai in the end, as predicted by you. And the Jhin yet again here for Cody's son. Going to take that one in blind. Could see the Ashe come out from Ruler, then have that great of a performance on it in Game 1. Our first match of the day. But could just go something pretty safe like the Ezreal.
Now that's just banned. That's why we see Jhin so high priority.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's why Jhin rises a little bit. I don't think Jhin is necessarily super powerful on this patch. I like the build Cody's son won. It wasn't the
better scaling build, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the lethality-based build that we saw in Series 1 from the Vega Squadron AD carry. It was more about the Infinity Edge and the more standard build that has been going around. So I'm going to stick with that Jhin. And that's a locked-in Talia on patch 623. Now, this is not something I expect to see at all, and that's a really big situation, Achilles, because, I mean, there are going to be some compensation buffs in the future for Talia. I did not expect to see her right now.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bold one coming out here. We haven't seen Talia in quite some time. So having Crown go back to this pick.
Really, really intriguing. Talia, when she had her Q, basically gutted. It was the extra damage to minions, her push pressure, and then a global that made her such a big pick, just before we went into the standard lane meta. Have not seen her at all. Dropped off a cliff and then some. And now, out of nowhere, Crown has clearly been practicing this. And Crown's work ethic is something that was clearly on point, both in the qualifiers for Worlds and Worlds. He really refined his champion pool. Sure, he played a lot of Victor, but he grew an extended bench to complement what became a must-ban Victor.
Oh.
That being said, Immortals have put together a lot of the power that they were able to field in the first series of the day. I imagine it's just going to be one of those capable tanks. We already saw Maokai once from QV and it is locked in, but the big variable here to me is this Taliyah. It's not a pick that anyone would have expected to be even once in this tournament, and after 4 mid lane bans and the blind pick of Orianna, Crown's got something special to show us.
Simon, what do you think is the thought process here behind this Taliyah pick going into the Orianna? Is it just to outshove her and constantly be harassing her, just pelting the rocks at her, or is it going to be all about the macro play, riding in on that rock wall and then just setting up, cutting off, this very immobile Jhin?
Well, it was really easy to give color points when Taliyah was last in the meta because she outshoved everyone. Level 1, level 2, goodbye minion wave. Even someone like Victor was like, what's going on here? The minion wave's gone. It's not a story anymore. You can push well, but not to the degree you could before. So I think it is much more emphasis on making the global plays, trying to find situations to push, maybe getting a blue buff advantage, and then making those globals work. Before, the global was a bonus. Now the global is so much of the power in her kit that sure, she has some zone control and some shove, but it's all about making that ultimate, the Weaver's Wall, work.
Well, this is definitely going to be a bit of a treat here on both sides. Crown coming in with this pick that we did not expect, and we get to see Ole's Thresh, which is also going to be a nice one. Had a good game on that part in the last. We'll see if he can hold up to it. See if Immortals can put a win on the board, or if Samsung are going to bounce back. Let's go ahead and get onto the Rift for Game 1 in this best of 3. All right, here we are on Summoner's Rift. Immortals on the blue side, Samsung on the red. Looks like it's going to be fanning out across the map in a 5-point along the river. Not going to see any of those 5-man bot brush antics.
But this is the one everyone wants to see. Crown on your screen. Not just the player, who of course impressed so many people at Worlds, but specifically the Taliyah pick that fell off a cliff. It's kind of low appropriate given her rock riding.
Yeah, just it was like one of those things where she was there and then suddenly she just disappeared.
But I mean, she was everywhere and literally like you needed milk cartons to be like, where is Taliyah? Where did she go?
100% pick ban to just
100% go.
Not even remotely wanted.
And that's why now? Why 623? Nothing about the items, nothing about her current balance state really screams must pick Taliyah. Start to think about which picks were not taken here. I would have expected the Cassiopeia, right? Cassiopeia versus Orianna, that makes sense given all the mid lane bans. Cassiopeia was banned in the previous series against Immortals by JT, but was not a ban in this series.
Yep. But, well, we're going to be trying something new here, so we'll see how Samsung play this one out. Because honestly, I'm not worried about Crown's performance on Taliyah. I'm just more concerned is how Samsung is going to play this as a team, because they didn't really get that buff until the 40-minute mark or so in the first game of the day. Only already trying to go a little bit aggressive here on the core JJ and poke him down. Started out with the flay, so doesn't have the death sentence yet.
The mindset of Olay, I think, is pretty transparent even in his first series and now second series as a player on Immortals. Very aggressive mindset, loved all the playmaking on Borrowed. Obviously, similar playmaking without the magical journey for going through walls is available on this Thresh, and this bot lane, it's completely new. Olay never played in an LCS region, and then Cody-san stepping up from Challenger. And it's against Ruler and Core JJ. Ruler obviously on the newer side as well. Ambition's top, always difficult to take down a Poppy.
Flame going to get slowed up, but he can't dash in. As the W's there for Flame, so he keeps himself safe. And just takes a small amount of damage from that Sonic Wave.
And QV wasn't hit level 3, so I don't believe he actually even had Twisted Advance. So, good that Ambition's showing some attention, but no benefit to that gank.
Yep. Dardoch gets his red buff, could roam over and try to go for the blue perhaps in the enemy jungle. But it looks like he's just going to be working his way through those Raptors at the moment. That'll take him a little while. We'll see what kind of build he wants to go. Did a very selfless build in that last game. Ruby Sightstone to start things off. Didn't go for, you know, that Tiamat early. We sometimes see from Rek'Sai players, so definitely was playing for the team. So that's another one. You know, you mentioned how much Flame has changed as far as his style goes playing for the team, but Dardoch as well, kind of conforming to that. So maybe the coaching, you know, on the side of Immortals with Hermes is really paying off.
I mean, obviously the Flame is a much longer transition. He went from being
yeah.
the carry top laner to more of a team player. Dardoch always had flashes of playing around the team, and then were in and out of game issues that again were very clear from Breaking Point. Lay looking for that playmaking.
Yeah, goes in for the play. They have the Nilly quarters, they connect it, as well as the knock-up. Death Sentence in Core JJ doesn't stand a chance. He goes down, loses both of his summoner spells. Both from Ole and the flash from Dardoch, but overall, first blood for Immortals is going to be quite nice. That's going to be 700 gold in the lead for these guys on the board as they start to chip away at this tier 1 turret.
And it's just very easy to set up the deadly flourishes from the Jhin when you have Thresh in the lineup. Flash deaths, Flash Flay is almost no reaction time available whatsoever. Dardoch in the right place, mechanics on point, and Ole being a playmaker and also having near fluent English. Clearly there's been no time lag that's required for him to really integrate into this Immortals lineup.
A day and a half, no problem. It's good to go.
You know, he's probably played with them for longer than a day and a half, let's be real.
Yeah, trial period and whatnot. But even then, I think it's been less than a week.
And there were a lot of names bandied around for Immortals support. Peekaboo was one of them. Kasing was another one. There's a lot of rumors about where they would go. Nobody would have chosen LA. If you gave a lineup of names, obviously not a lot of people know him, given that he's been playing in Brazil and these like lower public consciousness leagues. But he's come in and I think already made a bit of a name for himself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, looking at the Reddit thread, there was so many people asking, like, you know, I think I know this guy, but I don't know where I know him from. So it definitely he has had that reception, but I think that this showing here at IEM, if they can continue this aggression and, you know, not be punished for it, I think that Ole will find that he has a lot of fans in North America after this set if they walk away with a victory. And even if they don't, he still has, you know, put on a showing so far just in, you know, one game and then 5 minutes of this one.
I mean, fandom is an important thing to talk about, Achilles, because when you're really playing with rosters, like Samsung fans will stay around with this Samsung lineup. 2016 Samsung fans, it's inevitable there'll be a 2017 Samsung fan, but Immortals have changed the cornerstones of what made their team. 1 year as a professional team defined by their duo, Rainover and Huni. Pubelta obviously was a member of the roster, but the team was, you know, a Huni-focused team, as is often the way, and then Huni's gone. So it was no guarantee that if you were a 2016 Immortals fan, you would quickly jump to a 2017 Immortals fan, but choosing to come to this event and showing a good level of performance is the sort of thing you need to do when you're changing the core of your lineup, because maybe fans will stick around, and given the brand of League of Legends they have been playing, so far so good.
Yep. It's been pretty good. Ruler, don't want to keep up in CS, of course, has those Mystic shots that he can fire off at a safe distance. But now Dardoch, ooh, actually going to find Ambition and Crown here in the jungle. Appledirt's not going to connect. Gets a little bit of that threaded volley in the face. Work him down to about half HP. So he's going to have to hightail it out of the river. Nice little find, but overall, no gain going to be ground for Samsung.
Really interested to see when we get back to Crown what he's maxing. Unraveled Earth is a potential max when it comes to shoving. Doesn't feel like Threaded Volley, which of course was the max back when it did extra damage to minions, is necessarily the first max. One of the reasons Talia completely fell off is that Q and E were nerfed at the same time, so she really had a lot of problems when it came to shoving, so we can't take for granted that it will be a Q max. Potential for 3v3 in bot lane.
Yeah, we have Dardoch waiting in the wings, and now Ambition roaming in. Don't think he's been spotted yet. JJ going forward. That's going to be the Lantern thrown out to try to drag him in. Ole chunk out a little bit of it. Has that shield, and Ambition is going to get worked pretty low. Hook lands on the core JJ. Don't have the flay to knock him back in. It's just going to be a trade of damage across the board. No one wanting to commit further for that.
Health bars on support's pretty even. Dardoch had the extra information, given that he spotted them with the Tremor Sense, but can just ult to top and now get some extra cabs. So, you know, has the information that leads indeed a record on the bot side, and here goes the jungling. So happy times for Dardoch.
Yep, be able to hand over that blue buff. You can see Crown starting with a roam up to the top side of the map. Might be looking for something with the Weaver's Wall, but he's spotted out.
There's still a Q max. Yep, there is that Weaver's Wall.
Throw it out. Jumps off, actually. Doesn't want to ride it all the way in, so he's not caught underneath that turret. Flame going to get seismic shoved back in. Takes a little bit of damage, but doesn't have to blow the flash. he'll make it out safely, and they get that ultimate down from Crown. So Weaver's Wall, not something that they have to worry about for some time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good Weaver's Wall in the context, but realistically couldn't ride it to get the kill.
Yeah.
Taking down a Bami's Cinder Flame on this Poppy early in the game was always going to be difficult, but just an opening salvo. It's a mind game. Now the next time he exits mid lane, Flame's going to be asking those questions, so see if they can translate on that particular pressure they're trying to show.
Flames had a little bit of a struggle in this top lane, as we can see.
He's already had 2 visits from the jungler and none from Dardoch or his mid laner.
Yep. Oh, Pole Belter though, Dragon's Rage kick. Sonic Wave connects, and there it is, Ambition setting up that first kill here for Samsung.
Yeah, so it's clean stuff that we didn't see from Ambition and Crown in game 1, so that's good to see. They're going to try and parlay that also into the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, Ruler and Core JJ roaming over to this way. Dardoch hovering around the red buff, but there's a lot of members of Samsung, and I think they're just going to go ahead and concede this one. Likely have the knowledge that this is transpiring, but don't want to go into contest. So first Dragon goes down, and looks like our second one will be another Mountain Drake to follow.
I'm going to see the replay. Very nice stuff from Ambition. Doesn't take any chances. Opens with the flash into kick. At that point, nowhere for Pavel to go. No need to use any summoners. Clean stuff, and Ambition on the Lee Sin. It's always been a pick for him. Even when he was a mid laner, his off-role champion was jungler playing Lee Sin specifically. So Lee Sin mechanics not in doubt. And good sign for Samsung. Already leveling up their early game, which is a big question mark for them against Vegas Squadron.
Yeah, definitely liking him on this Lee Sin more so than on the Olaf. Just wasn't that room for that big playmaking potential.
I just don't feel like Olaf's particularly strong right now. Again, because he can't abuse the true and only tank keystone, which is that Courage of the Colossus.
So obviously I'm stuck in ELO health, so I don't get the full exposure, but you're significantly higher up on the Korean ladder for Papa Smithy. So what is the current state of something like Kha'Zix? Because we know this is something that Ambition used to run in mid lane, so he's familiar with that champion. Is there any hope of seeing that come out in the jungle?
I mean, the solo queue specials are always kind of finicky because it feels like the likes of Vayne and Kha'Zix have to be at such a power level that they're so overpowered that they make sense in competitive. Samsung are really investing here.
Yeah, they are. That's a Sonic Wave in onto Ole. They're just going to burn him down. He flashes in underneath the turret, drops the box. It's a hook in onto Cube. Root him down. Oh, nice play by Ole. Showing off that mechanical prowess, but it's not enough to keep himself alive. Meanwhile, turret is going to finish off Ambition, so Dardoch is able to answer one back. It's a nice unburrow knock-up on multiple members of Samsung, but in the end, that's still going to be the bottom lane of Immortals going down, which is a kill advantage over to Samsung. Still slightly behind in gold, but they are really equalizing the count at the moment.
Again, remember the criticism in Game 1 was that Cube was not using his teleport effectively. This time, in the right place at the right time. They stack here. No teleport available from Poppy, and Dardoch has to invest his flash just to get a kill on Ambition, who took 4 turret shots over the course of this dive. So whether that's worth or not, kind of up in the air, given that Rek'Sai is so flash dependent on ganks. So has to invest a flash just to spare some of the blushes. Big advantage to Samsung.
Yeah. And that was just not much you could do if you were Ole and Cody's son. Just getting collapsed on like that. So unfortunate for them, but Samsung continuing to move forward, still down very slightly in the gold. But making moves like that is what they need to do. So showing, better decision making early on in the game than when we saw them at the start of the day against Vegas Squadron.
I mean, you didn't need to do a VOD review as Samsung to understand what the problem was. The early game was pretty shocking. We know that they're capable of so much more, so clearly they had some words, leveled up, which is good to see. This should be a really exciting best of 3. I'd love to see it go all 3 games because
for sure.
Then we get more information. We're already getting a Talia out of nowhere. We're already seeing some really innovative pathing and item decisions. This tournament is really the true preview. That's why I said it's kind of like shaking the presents before Christmas morning. We're not going to unwrap the new patch. We're not going to see really or fully understand it. That will require all the leagues to start again. But we can kind of, shake them and be like, okay, I guess this is probably not a sweater. This is probably, some sort of toy. Like, you get some ideas. The outline of the future patches is here today.
And then it somehow ends up being socks anyway.
I mean, I got to the age now where, like, socks is kind of welcome. I could always use some more socks. That's what happens when you're old, Achilles.
Yeah, we'll see when I hit that point.
I mean, I can buy all the things I want, and, like, I forget to buy the socks,
So the memory. So what you're telling me is the memory is going with the age as well.
Memboom over here.
Yeah. Well, looks like I have a lot of fun things to look forward to as I get older.
I turned 30 in January. Getting old, man. Getting old.
I'll have 6 years to wait for that one, so I'll enjoy it while it lasts. Dardoch paying a visit down the bottom, not going to be able to find anything. They're still just barely maintaining that very slight lead, that little edge out ahead of Samsung that they have. But Dardoch actually going to find Ambition. No, they're both going to go over the wall with that cone. Now Ambition going low, down to half HP. Crown's going to be the first one to arrive, though. Cuts him off with the Weaver's Wall. Hook comes in, but it's not going to land. So Ole whipping that one just slightly to the right of Crown, who actually got stuck on it over the side of his own Weaver's Wall. Couldn't come in, and now Flame, nice flank TP coming in. Does he get the knockup? Gets a stun in onto Ruler. That's going to collapse, and Shockwave not going to find much, but they do get the Ezreal in the end. The Keeper's Verdict is going to whiff as Ruler dies just before it goes off. Cody-san trying to hound down Ambition, but he's going to flash right into the face of this Jhin. Gets him with the Dragon's Rage in the end. Nice confidence coming out from the Lee Sin. Gets that kill, and that's just going to make it a 1-for-1. Both ADs dying.
It's a 1-for-1, and only 4 members could be invested for Samsung. So that means that Maokai stays top. They get farm, they get some damage onto this turret, and it's a better trade than we saw when 4 members were invested from Samsung, because that ended up being a 2-for-1. And when we see the replay, the one thing I want to talk about here after the initial tussle is the weave as well. I actually like that Crown went to the further side. He didn't actually go towards the right side because his bot lane was second to react, and kind of Ole and Cody-san would have been just right next to Crown and just killed him.
Yeah.
Because he went to the other side, he was free to DPS. Cody-san had to really awkwardly flash into the dragon, and they got some extra damage. So it looked like it was just going to be a 1-for-0 despite the numbers disparity. But Ambition turns around, still has kick, actually uses it just for the damage at the end, able to get out, and good stuff for Samsung.
Yeah. Well, Cody feeling a little too confident that he could win that trade. Couldn't get the Deadly Flourish off in time, but even that, I don't think it would have been enough. And Ole just couldn't get there in time to save him with that Dark Passage. So just both ADs going down 0-2-3 for Cody-san, 0-1 and 2 for Ruler. And CS hovering around even as that wave comes in, so they should be pretty much the same.
Dardoch's looking for another one of those visits, but spotted by 2
ward.
wards actually on the way. Those are Rek'Sai wards right there.
Yes. Very limited times where you have to place them in those areas. Now Dardoch gets jumped on, gets the Umpero on Ambition, has that Dark Passage. They'll take that out to safety. And Ambition will just be like, all right, I'll just kill the Scuttle Crab. So they'll have some nice semi-permanent vision around the dragon.
You really see the wealth of difference between Samsung and J-Team. You know, all the kind of predictable dives that Rek'Sai is making have been well scouted out by Samsung. You know, J-Team really struggled on the Rift. Only a best of 1, but a lot of levels of issues that I don't think can be corrected in just, you know, a couple of hours in between series. But yeah. Samsung, they had one big problem, that was their early game and some of their execution. They seem to have fixed that, and they're playing on a much higher level in this series, but as you can see, still very even.
Yep. First brick, though, still available for either side to claim. But Samsung in a significantly stronger position to get that little burst of gold as bottom turret down to half. And
seen this before.
Going down, and yeah, looks like they're just going to do this repeat gank. But well, Cody-san, he's going to open up with his turret call. Trying to get on the Ruler, lands most of those shots. Now the Void Rush coming through from Dardoch. Can he make the difference? Cody-san cut off by that Weaver's Wall. He's going to go down, as is Ole. And yet again, Dardoch, the only one left underneath this turret, this time with 4 members of Samsung Galaxy there to greet him. He's going to have to hightail it out of there, and that will be the first turret going down. Flame, as that Poppy just not able to work this thing down quickly enough.
The Crown is basically Twisted Fate on this Talia. We talked about how important the Weaver's Wall usage is after the free shove was taken away with nerfs to Q&E. Ghosted just to be in position to set up the Weaver's Wall, and then it was a 5-man collapse and no way for Orianna to counter the run. You see Orianna in mid, she thinks, okay, I guess the Talia's going to get there, but Talia just motors her way down super fast. It's 5 members. It doesn't matter that Dardoch was smart to port into the bot lane. Really, really clean stuff from Samsung. They get the objective they're looking for, and even though Poppy takes top turret, remember, the top turret from the Samsung side of things is only 3 or 4 hits away from going down itself.
Yeah, so they can trade that one. Plus, they get that first brick gold coming through, so that's going to put Samsung in a pretty comfortable position here. It's just about 1,000 gold, so nothing insurmountable. It's nothing, you know, as crazy as what we saw from Immortals versus J-Team in the last game, but it's still a lead. And now they have 2 Mountain Drakes under their belt, so knocking down those Tier 2 towers when it comes down to it, it's going to be that much easier for them.
This will also mean, given that we're talking about Talia, that you can happily park Talia in a side lane and know that she will react even without teleports, so double mobility summoners, and then we'll be able to weave his wall, at least, once again, about Destiny range to the mid lane. They will continue the split lane. They tried this with Victor the last time out, and were punished for a couple of times with Vega Squadron. A little bit different with Talia.
Mission running his way in, but you can see, even with just core JJ there for the majority of the wave clear, the mantra Q is enough. Now Crown running in, that's going to be the Weaver's Wall coming through. Gonna try to cut them off and keep them in front of this turret, but there's not really a way for Samsung to...
Crown's actually stuck there.
Yeah, he's got himself pinned inside of the Raptors,
Whoops.
so definitely not going to be getting much off of that Weaver's Wall.
No one saw that one, don't worry about it.
But hey, they kept their tier 1 turret, so at least that's something.
Maokai's walked down, remember.
Oh, Shockwave drags in both. It's going to be the Deadly Flourish coming in. Blocks up Ambition. Now the box coming down. Ole, he will fall. Ambition 1 hit from dead. Dardoch goes in, trying to trade this back, and Cody's actually able to bend a bullet around Cube to get that last shot through. Take out the Lee Sin. So far, 1 for 1. They're looking for more. Cube going back in with a twisted advance. Has to flash out immediately. Cody's going low. Crown trying to finish him off with a threaded volley. A couple more hits would do it, but he's not able to find it. Ruler doesn't quite have the true shot barrage just yet. A couple more Mystic shots would reset the cooldown for him, but you could see Immortals scattering to the wind. Do not want to get caught out by that Ezreal ultimate, but actually, that is going to be an interruption there by Core JJ. Not able to find the kill.
Just too late.
Yeah, ult sweeps through. Not going to hit Pobelter inside the fountain. They'll heal up, but look at this Samsung. They're going to be able to take out that tier 2 tower. We'll watch this replay though.
And with the engage, you thought, okay, this is the fight Immortals are looking for, but the flashing health bars, the fact that they can't complete any more kills than Ambition is what really costs Samsung here. Target selection from Flame, he goes for the closest to his allies. That was the Maokai, and although Maokai almost falls, Twisted Advance flashes out, and suddenly everyone is a couple of hits, an auto attack from Ezreal away from death. That means they all have to kite in different directions. They lose 2 turrets. Prey on a different day might have flashed aggressively and gone for some exit kills there. Ruler goes the safer option, and they still get two turrets in the mid lane. So they still get a massive win to Samsung, even if they can't pad the kill score for their Ezreal.
Yeah. That was that's one of those frustrating moments when you're Ruler and you're just a couple seconds away from that true shot barrage, and you see the lineup and you just can't get it to get that quadra kill instantly.
But they still get the 2 turrets. That's the thing, is that if they had been repelled, if they had just gone back, there would be frustration as if you're Ruler. I could have, I thought about going in with my flash, but I didn't do it. We didn't get anything. He made the team choice. He pulled back, team called to kill turrets. They did that. Now they're looking for more. Remember, there's a lot of space here with no turrets.
Cube is going to be wrapping around from the side. Nice! Dragon's Rage going to knock up Pobelter, and Ole, he's going to go low. Looks like he's going to be the first one to be picked off. Core JJ comes up with a kill. Flame will throw out the Keeper's Verdict, does eject Cube from the fight, but the rest of the Immortals are going low. Ambition coming around the sidelines, and Crown throwing out the threat and volley. Time and time again, it's going to be a double kill coming through. Ambition following through on that Sonic Wave does connect him in with Dardoch, and Flame is going to fall. That's 4 members of Immortals picked off, and Samsung, I think they're just going to make a beeline over to this Baron at 22 minutes.
Sometimes it all lines up for the Lee Sin. The kick there was the true MVP. Really nice Weaver's Wall. Nowhere to go, and then Ambition continues his good work, coming around the backline. Clean stuff from Samsung. High expectations we had for them this tournament. Vindicated. Dardoch's alive, so the Baron's not necessarily inked in, but damned if it isn't penciled in.
Put him past Dardoch to go for the steal, but he can't get there in time, and now he's got to be worried about getting out of here alive, which I just don't think is possible from him. Gets rooted down. Ambition going to put another one on the board, and Ole coming in to try to get a dark passage out to Dardoch to take him to safety. He'll be able to walk away. Almost seemed like a mercy showing there from Crown, not pursuing for the kill, but take a look at that Dragon's Rage. That is just beautiful.
Pobelter takes 700 damage because of the extra health that Thrush has built. And, basically gets DPS'd out, running the whole time, and then the Weaver's Wall stops the exit, and Pobelter and Cody-san are stopped with nowhere to go. That's what allows Ambition to come around the back. I've been really impressed with Crown and the Weaver's Wall. You don't get a free pass. You can't just QE and then just half-assed, I guess you'd say, with the Weaver's Wall. You need to fully commit with it. You need to really understand where to put it. And so far, Crown has been on top of his game.
That he has. It's been a really good showing from him, and just Samsung in general really bouncing back from that first game of the day.
And now we get the interesting question, Achilles. We saw the smiling face, we saw the confidence.
Mission going to get locked up. Shockwave comes through, but he's able to dash away onto core JJ and keep himself safe. So even with that catch, with everything invested, really, with the Shockwave, they still can't finish him off. Now Samsung moving in towards this tier 2. Oh, Ruler able to finish off Cody Sun, flourishing forward with that E into the Mystic shot. Now Flame uses Keeper's Verdict, but he's just not tanky enough. He's gonna fall, and Crown comes up with the kill. It's gonna be another turret going down with the Baron-powered minions. Samsung, they might be looking for an inhibitor here. Pre-25 minutes.
Yeah, Ambition and the rest of Samsung are just looking to end the game as fast as possible. I've been impressed with how much snowballing they've been able to do in this game. We may not get the answer to it in this game, Achilles, but the question in this series is we saw how good IMT are, Immortals are, when they're ahead. How good are they when they're behind like this? Because it's a very different type of shotgun. It's very different for mentality, especially as a new team, when you're not winning.
Yeah. Well, as stated before, these guys, they're looking at this as, team building and just working on their synergy. Not so much, it's not the playoffs for them. It's not Worlds. It's still important, but they're not going to put that much emphasis on a loss.
But the question mark for them, as we see Ruler there, that was the aggressive flash we were looking for in the previous fight. But the question mark for Immortals is not whether they can beat teams. It's not whether they lose to Samsung. They should lose to Samsung. Samsung should be the best team at this tournament. The question for Immortals is how can they come back from a loss? Do they open up game 2 and still have a good early game? Do they show any visible tilt or struggles from being beaten? That's a much more interesting thing, given that the big question mark around some of these players, Flame and Dardoch included, has been mental strength.
Yeah. Well, we very well may be finding out in just a little bit here. Looks like Samsung might be slated to win this game within this next 5 minutes.
It's the third gold lead. Over 10,000.
Super creeps coming in. Samsung running it down mid, but in a positive way. Dardoch's going to go in. Shockwave is there. Crown's going low. So he's able to make it out for now, but they're sticking to him like glue, and the current call shots come through. They're able to kill off the Talia. Cube coming with a teleport, jumps on the Dardoch, but Flame goes forward, knocks up 3 with the Keeper's Verdict. Ruler going low. One more shot would finish him up, but Cube still just sticking onto Belter. They're able to find the kill and onto Dardoch as well. A double kill coming through from the Maokai, and Flame in the back line not able to do anything. They're going to lose 3. They're going to lose another inhibitor as it's just Cody Sun left on the side of Immortals. And Samsung, they might just end it right here if they can.
That was actually a really good engage from Immortals. They did exactly what they needed to, but the gold lead was the big answer there. So in a different game, it's good to see them go for the engage. They saw Maokai was top, they got the pick, but unfortunately we're too far behind. Their turrets will go down. 3 Mountain Drakes means you have to make an engage straight away. So I really commend Immortals for going in, but between the 3 Mountain Drakes and the Gold League, it's going to be the win for Samsung.
Well, gets a final 2 kills there for Cody Sun to pad the KDA. But in the end, Immortals goes down 7-19. A pretty colossal win for Samsung. And they end up with just shy of 13,000 gold as an advantage. So a much stronger showing for this team. And like you said, can Immortals bounce back, or will their mental go boom?
I mean, that engage, the timing there, communicating that against 3 Mountain Drakes you have to engage, killing the Talia, that was already a really good sign for Immortals. So you should be heartened. Samsung do come in heavy favorites. It was good to see them adapt, but we have those high expectations for them. Immortals will put things together and try and come back for game 2.
Yeah, for sure. See, Hermes already reading in with the team, getting them corralled up for the meeting. So see what they're going to do when they get ready to come back in for this second game in this best of 3. See how the draft is going to change, because now the Talia is something that you might have to worry about a little bit. And banning away Talia is feels bad, man.
I think you leave it up, but if we see it a second time, suddenly the meta and what we knew about it already has taken a big shift 3 series in.
Yeah. So could see some changes coming through. We'll see what Immortals want to piece together as we get ready to go into game 2, and we'll see if Samsung can close this out, or if we'll go to full 3 games. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.